I want you to think about a key, not a physical key, a digital one. Right now, your identity, your data, your company's most sensitive systems, your bank account, your medical records, all of it sits behind digital key. A username, a passcode, a token, a certificate. And somewhere right now, someone is trying to steal that key. Not by picking a lock, but pretending to be you. They have automated tools that probe millions of accounts per hour. They have stolen credential databases. They have learned to mimic legitimate user behavior. So precisely that traditional security systems simply waive them though. And the moment they get in, they do not announce themselves. They move quietly, they escalate privileges, they access what they should not access. And by the time someone notices, the damage is done. That is not a technological failure, that is identity failure, and it is one I have dedicated my career to fixing it. My name is Rohit Gorle. I build the AI systems that are redefining how enterprises decide who gets access to what, when, and why. And today I want you to take you inside that world because identity security is the invisible foundation that every digital system in the world depends on. I came to this work as a software engineer who was fascinated by a deceptively simple question: how does a system decide who to trust? Not a philosophical question, an engineering one. When you log into a system, something has to make a decision. Is this person who they say they are? Do they have permission to be here? Should this action be allowed? For decades, the decision was made with blunt instruments: passwords, static roles, perimeter firewalls. The logic was simple. If you're inside the network, you're trusted. If you have the right password, you're trusted. But the world changed. Cloud computing dissolved the perimeter. Remote work scattered the workforce across thousands of locations. Microservices multiplied the attack surface, and AI-powered attackers learned that to exploit every gap in those old assumptions. The old model said, trust everyone inside the wall. The new reality said, there are no walls anymore. The first lesson I learned building enterprise security systems: a password is not an identity. A password is a secret, and secrets can be stolen. That realization drove me towards something entirely different, building systems that do not just check credentials, but continuously verify context. That do not just ask, who are you, but ask, is this really you right now in this situation, doing this specific thing? Working across Oracle, Amazon, and enterprise cloud environments, I watched this shift happen in real time. And I became convinced that artificial intelligence is the only tool powerful enough to make dynamic, context aware identity decisions at the scale of model world demands. Let me tell you what is actually at stake here. Because this is not a story about technology, this is a story about what happens when the wrong person gets through the door. Let me walk you through three domains. The first one, the breach that should never even happen. The average cost of a data breach in the United States today is over $4 million. That is the financial cost alone. The reputational cost, the regulatory cost, the cost to the customers whose data was exposed, those numbers don't even fit neatly in a spreadsheet. And here is a statistic that should never stop you good. Over 80% of data breaches involve compromised identity credentials, not a software vulnerability, not a zero-day exploit, a stolen username and password, a legitimate looking login from an illegitimate actor. The most dangerous attacker in the world is the one your system thinks it's you. Traditional perimeter security cannot stop this because once the credentials are valid, the gates are open. Rule-based access controls cannot stop this because the rules were written for the expected, and the attackers always do the unexpected. And the second one, the identity sprawl no one talks about. Here is a challenge that lives inside every large enterprise and almost no one outside of fully understands. In a modern organization, a single employee might have dozens of digital identities: their corporate account, their cloud platform access, their development environment credentials, their third-party application logins, their API keys, and also their service accounts. Multiply that across tens of thousands of employees, contractors, and automated systems. Then add the machine identities, the service accounts, the AI agents, the automated pipelines that need access to systems around the clock. What you get is what security professionals call identity sprawl, a vast tangled web of access rights, credentials, and permissions that no human team can fully see, let alone fully manage. You cannot secure what you cannot see, and right now, most enterprises cannot see their own identity landscape clearly. And the third and the last one, the access that outlived its purpose. There is a concept in security called access creep. It sounds harmless, it is not. Every time an employee changes roles, takes on a new project, or gets granted temporary access to a sensitive system, and that access is never removed, the organization's risk profile quietly grows. Over years, over thousands of employees, the accumulated weight of unnecessary permissions become an enormous, invisible attack surface. An attacker who compromises one account with excess privileges does not just get the person's data, they get everything that account was even given access to. Every unnecessary permission is an unlocked door, and in a large enterprise, there are thousands of doors nobody remembers leaving open. So, what does AI transformed identity security actually look like? Let me walk you through it. First, we built AI that does not just verify identity, it continuously understands behavior. Modern machine learning models trained on user behavior can establish what we call a behavioral baseline. How does this particular person typically log in? What time of the day? From which device? Which systems do they access? In what sequence? The moment something deviates from that baseline, a login from an unfamiliar location, an unusual access pattern at around 3 a.m. in the morning, a sudden request for elevated privileges, the system flags it. Not with a simple rule, with intelligence. It does not just ask, is this the right password? It asks, does this feel like the right person? We stopped asking machines to check credentials. We started asking them to understand people. We deployed zero trust architecture where no one is trusted by default. Zero trust is not a product, it is a philosophy, and it is the most important shift in enterprise security thinking in a generation. The principle is simple: never trust, always verify. Every access request, regardless of where it came from, who is making it, or whether it originates inside corporate network, is treated as potentially hostile until proven otherwise. But here is where AI transforms zero trust from a philosophy into a practical reality. Traditional zero trust would grind an organization to halt if every access decision required a manual review. AI makes continuous real-time verification possible at enterprise scale, invisible to the legitimate user, impenetrable to the attacker. Zero trust without AI is a philosophy. Zero trust with AI is a system that actually works. The next, we gave enterprise the ability to see their entire identity landscape and govern it intelligently. Working with cloud platforms at Oracle and Amazon, I saw firsthand how AI-driven identity governance systems can map every credential, every permission, every service account across enterprise and make sense of it in real time. These systems can identify which permissions are being actively used and which have been dormant for months. They can flag access rights that violate the principle of least privilege, the security principle that says every user should have access only to exactly what they need and nothing more. They can run automated access certifications that would have taken a human team months, and they can recommend recommendations before a vulnerability becomes a breach. AI did not just improve identity governance, it made genuine governance possible for the first time. We built agentic AI that defends identity around the clock without being asked. Agentic AI, autonomous system capable of reasoning, deciding, and acting across complex workflows, is now the frontier of enterprise security. Imagine an AI system that monitors every identity across your enterprise in real time, that detects an anonymous login attempt at 2 a.m. in the morning, correlates with threat intelligence feeds, determines it machines the signature of a known attack pattern, and automatically suspends the account, alerts the system security team, and initiates a forensic review, all before a human analyst even sees the alert. Imagine a system that proactively reviews every service account and automated pipeline credentials on a rolling basis and flags the ones that have accumulated excess permissions before even an attacker can exploit them. Not reactive, not waiting for an alert to fire, genuinely proactive and intelligent guardian that never sleeps, never gets tired, and never misses a pattern. Now, I want to share the idea that ties all of this together. We think of identity and access management as a security function, a technical control, an IT problem, but it is something far more fundamental than that. Identity is the foundation of digital trust. Every transaction that happens in the digital world, every medical record accessed, every financial transfer authorized, every cloud system deployed, every AI model trained on sensitive data depends on one underlying question being answered correctly. Is this the right person in the right context doing the right thing? When the question is answered wrong, whether an attacker impersonates a legitimate user, when an employee has access they should not have, when a compromised account goes undetected for months, the consequences ripple outward far beyond the individual breach. They erode the trust that the entire digital economy depends on. AI is not just making identity security more efficient, AI is making digital trust possible at a scale and complexity that no human system could manage. I call it the intelligent identity layer, a living, learning, always on system that wraps around every user, every device, every application, and every cloud service in an enterprise. Continuously understanding context, continuously verifying intent, continuously protesting access without slowing down the people who belong there, not a checkpoint at the gate, an intelligent nervous system running through everything. Access is not a technical problem, it is a trust problem, and AI is finally giving us the tool to solve it. I want to close with a story. Early in my career, I was a part of a team responding to a security incident at a large enterprise. An attacker had gained access using a set of credentials that belonged to a former contractor, someone who had left the organization 8 months earlier. Their access had never been revoked. 8 months. The door has been left open for 8 months. By the time the breach was detected, the attacker had moved laterally across the network, accessed a database containing sensitive customer records, and exfiltrated data over a period of weeks, all while appearing to every traditional security system in place completely legitimate. The investigation took months, the remediation cost millions, and the customers whose data was exposed, they received a letter explaining that their personal information may have been compromised. They did not choose this, they did not know, they simply trusted a system that was not equipped to protect them. The breach did not have to happen. An AI-driven identity governance system would have flagged that dormant account within days of the contractor's departure. An anomaly detection model would have recognized the unusual access pattern the moment the attacker logged in. An agentic security system would have suspended the account, isolated the affected systems, and initiated a response automatically, instantly, without waiting for a human to notice. I kept that incident in the back of my mind. Every identity governance framework I designed, every behavioral analytical model I built, every zero trust architecture I helped deploy, I built it knowing that somewhere right now there is an organization with a door left open. That door should not stay open. I want to leave you with this. Every system in the digital world, every hospital that stores your medical records, every bank that holds your savings, every cloud platform that powers the application of you use every day depends on one thing working correctly: identity, access, trust. And for most of the history of enterprise technology, those three things have been managed with tools that were never designed for the complexity, scale, and sophistication of the threats we face today. AI changes that. Machine learning models that understands human behavior and flag the moment something is wrong. Zero trust architectures that verify every access request continuously, not just in the front door. Identity governance systems that map and manage millions of permissions in real time. Agentic AI that defends your enterprise before you even know it's under attack. My field of endeavor is building that, the intelligent identity layer, making enterprise security smarter, making access governance possible at scale, making digital trust worthy of the trust that billions of people place it in every single day. The promise of digital security has always been simple. The right people get in, the wrong people do not. AI is how we finally keep that promise.